Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Bravely Default. Yeah, it's been a minute. Sorry about that. Anyway, last time we kind of wrapped up everything in Eternia. You know, Adia had to come to terms with taking down her father. But today, instead of going on the main story, we're going on a side quest to get the vampire asterisk. And, yeah, this is a rough one. Some people would recommend waiting to do this because I'm relatively under-leveled at this point, which I know is kind of hilarious to say considering where my levels are, but yeah, the boss fights here are no joke. Emphasis on fights. Because, yeah, and I'm recording this all with post-commentary. What you're seeing right now is me prepping before the storm. But, yeah, essentially we're going to be fighting 6 dragons and then Lord DeRosso, the vampire himself. Oh boy. So what I'm doing right now is just, well, after, like, the little party text there to celebrate Norende, I'm switching everybody to Ninja for a really cheap strategy. One that I will not be abusing outside of this moment in time. But yeah, like, you are really underleveled here if you choose to do it now, especially with the job levels I have. But I'm essentially getting everybody to level 4 Ninja in order to get the Utsu Semi ability, which allows you to not take damage on one physical attack and then provide a counter attack. That's going to be my main way to survive, because yeah, these dragons, they have attacks that can one-hit KO my team. Like, one at a time, really. Well, no, yeah, they have, like, group attacks as well. More on that in a bit. But yeah, there's other strategies you can employ. This one is just really slow. I could have used a Spirit Master because they have an ability called Stillness. Like, it stops all damage, and then you know, have a performer use one more for you to restore BP, and yeah, you're just like taking no damage. There's also Arcanist, which I think that depends on the dragon. I know the first one is susceptible to poison. I'm not sure about all of them, but yeah, like, you have other strategies at your disposal. But I mean, to get Stillness for Spirit Master, he needs to be, or your Spirit Master needs to be at level 8. That's, well, I mean, that's not too many fights, because at first I was worried about the grind for JP, but just fighting around Eternia, like, just one battle did me up to, like, level 4. No, not level 4. It was like level 2? Level 3? I don't know. I got a lot of JP off of one fight. The only thing is, like, the fights are tough when everybody is just starting off as a ninja and you kind of don't have, like, your other go-tos. But yeah, I got everybody to level 4, and I was contemplating just keeping them all on Ninja and doing all the fights, but as you're going to see when we get to the first fight, yeah, that's not the best idea. It took me like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, I don't even know. It was a long battle. But yeah, that's the strategy I'm going to employ for all of the dragon fights, and because it's going to be really samey, I'm not going to showcase every single fight. Y'all don't want to see that. So I'll show one, and then I guess I'll show like pics or screen caps of the other dragons. They all function the exact same. They just look different and have different elements. So yeah, you activate the side quest by going to Vampire Castle. DeRosso tells you to find the keystones, and then you have to go find them. They're at all of the random obelisks that you might have seen strewn about the land. So at the first obelisk in the Anchime area, near the Oasis, you're going to fight Wyvern. And word of note, every single dragon has 99,999 HP. Yeah, that's a lot. And to put that in perspective, also, DeRosso himself, when you fight him, he has 150,000 HP. These are some tough fights, which is why, like, I think on my first time playing this, I did postpone this, like, to a way later chapter because I just was not ready. But yeah, Wyvern, the first one we fight, and oh boy, it's a doozy. So yeah, the bite attack that it just does like 2,000 damage to a single target. That's its weakest attack. Yeah, dealing 2,000 damage, at least where I am at right now with my levels and equipment. That's its weakest attack, man. It also has an attack called Tempest Eye, which inflicts wind weak status. And, you know, that makes you weak to wind attacks. And then it has Stormy Breath, which is a wind-based attack. And when it does that, and you have wind weak applied, yeah, that's pretty much a one-hit KO to your whole team. I think I on one attempt actually did manage to have like Ring-a-Bell live because of all the extra HP I gave him, but yeah, it's rough. It's rough. But that's pretty much it. Like, they only have 3 attacks each on each dragon. It's just they all have a different like thing that will make you weak to a certain element. Not to mention, each dragon itself is also weak to a certain element. Wyvern is weak to fire attacks. And yeah, my strategy was just to... It's so cheap, I'm so sorry. But yeah, it was to just cast Utsusemi on everybody. And then, like, when he uses Stormy Breath, cast Utsusemi on everybody again. If he used Bite, just cast Utsusemi on that one person he attacked, and then just have everybody else default. And then whenever he uses Tempest Eye, everybody just defaults. That way I'm able to get in some extra damage because, yeah, just relying on the counterattacks, it was not paying the bills. And I did see like some conflicting info. I saw someone say like, oh, the breath attacks are considered physical, so they'll even counterattack on the Stormy Breath. No, that was not happening. So yeah, my special attack or my counterattacks were so weak, and that's because I reset everybody's jobs and didn't really have the best equipment on everybody. So yeah, for the remaining fights, I'm probably going to put everybody back to their main jobs and just go with that. I mean, at least it'll allow me to get extra JP for all of those other jobs and like get closer to maxing them out. But I am kind of tempted to just maybe switch everybody back to Freelancer, because yeah, they'll be middle of the pack, but that would allow me to get closer to the JP boost ability, which will make mastering all the other jobs really easy.
Past this gate, seek you the 6 keystones?
Keys of stone? Stones that are keys?
Though the way is barred, 6 number the holes to be filled. I trust you can. The time is ripe to prove yourselves worthy.
No fair! Couldn't you offer a small hint? Perhaps a name, a color, a shape?
I said I shall say no more. Now off with you.
We'll see. Because you get 600 JP for defeating a dragon. And considering I actually did this unscathed, I got a JP bonus that I did not deserve. But yeah, there's other things you can do to make the fight go faster. There are later ninja abilities that will allow you to deal more damage on counterattacks. There's Combat Kid, which increases your defense and attack every time you dodge or successfully evade an attack. So yeah, that can help out too. And I was really relying on my special abilities. At one point I did have to look up like how do I get specials with daggers, and yeah, it's just using items. 5 items and then you get a special attack. Yeah, it's just a long war of attrition with these fights, and that's why I will not be showing them all off. Come on. y'all not here to see all of that. But yeah, you get the wind keystone from Wyvern. Next there's an obelisk north of Yuliana Needleworks, where you'll fight Shinryu, who is weak to dark. And he also has a Holy Breath attack, which inflicts blind, which isn't that bad, honestly. Like, oh wow, you just made me blind. So he doesn't have a make you weak attack then. Oh, no. Oh, no, I misread. So yeah, he has Bite, which, yeah, deals the same damage as Wyvern. And then Celestial Eye inflicts light weak. And then Holy Breath, which is a holy attack. And it also inflicts blindness. Guess I'll be equipping Tiz with some, oh wait, no, blind is physical attacks. Guess I'm equipping everybody with some blind immunity stuff, because, boy, no, we not dealing with that. We not dealing with that. Yeah, Shiryu is weak to dark. You get the light keystone from him. In the Caudisla area, east of Latano Village, is the next obelisk. You fight Jabberwock there, who is weak to light. He has a bite attack. Evil Eye, which makes everyone weak to dark, and Fearsome Breath, which does, super damage if you're weak to it. A lot of damage if you're not weak to it. And inflicts Dread. That ain't good. Oh, he's weak to poison. Oh, no, he's not weak to poison. It heals him. Okay, so yeah, you definitely want to watch out for that. Okay. And then you get the Dark Keystone from him. Near Grap Keep, you fight Salamander, who is weak to water. And he also uses Bite. He uses Fiery Breath, which does not cause a status effect. And Scorching Eye, which inflicts fire weakness. He is affected by poison. Maybe I should use whatever the thing the tiny girl was. Victoria. What is her asterisk? How about Arcanist? Thank you. Self. But yeah, maybe I should use that, because that could make the ones that are weak to poison go by quicker. Like, just the Black Mage poison lineup. But that means I would need to have one person have Black Mage as their secondary and someone else have Arcanist as their secondary. Or I could throw caution to the wind and have Tiz run a Black Mage Arcanist combo and just keep healing him when necessary, because he's going to need to be healed and revived. That is a thought. That is doable too, actually. I may do that to speed this up a bit, because he has the poison spell already from Black Mage, and I think you get Exterminate relatively early. Let me make sure. Arcanist, Bravely, default. Exterminate is level 3. So yeah, like one fight around Eternia and he'll probably be able to do that with the quickness. That's a thought. That is a thought. I may consider that. But I would still be using like the Utsutsemi strategy for everyone else, so it would still be a relatively long fight, but being able to deal insane damage with Exterminate, not to mention the poison chip damage, it could go by ever so quicker. Like, it still wouldn't be like blindingly fast, but it would be quicker than what I'm doing here. And then from Salamander you get Fire Keystone. You head over to Florum, east of the Twisted Treetop. The obelisk there has Mizuchi, who is weak to lightning. Uses the move Freezing Eye to inflict water weakness, and then uses Icy Breath. And Icy Breath inflicts Stop. I will definitely need some Stop immunity for that, because... No, that is going to be deadly. You get the Water Keystone from him. On Eternia, the southwest, you fight Ladon, who is weak to wind. And it's just like the other dragons, it uses Earth Eye to inflict Earth weakness, and then Megaton Press, which also can afflict you with paralysis. Yeah, that sucks. But yeah, you get the Earth Keystone from Ladon. After that, we'll be heading to Vampire Castle. I guess I will show that off. However, I am going to have the encounters off. Because, once again, I am underleveled for this little side quest. It's doable while underleveled. I mean, you're seeing me fight Wyvern here on this successful attempt, but it just requires a lot of strategy and patience and or some grinding. But it is doable, but I don't want to have every encounter be like a mini boss fight. I'm enjoying that. I'm not entertaining that thought. So yeah, I'm gonna have encounters off for the Vampire Castle trek, and then we'll get to DeRosso himself, who is he's gonna be tough. He is going to be tough indeed. I will jump back in for that battle. It'll still be done with post-commentary because, I mean, 150,000 HP, come on now. But, yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, enjoy the rest of this super sped up Wyvern fight. I may just cut out the middle portion because it's a long one. It's a long one. And I will see you in Vampire Castle. Just cutting in with some post-commentary additions, even though this is already post-commentary, but details. Yeah, the dragon, like the remaining dragon fights, some went better than others. I did try one where I had everybody back to their regular classes. Didn't quite work out. Well, regular classes, but I had Tiz as an Arcanist to try the poison exterminate combo on different dragons. Though the first one I did that for, I forgot to actually grind to get Tiz up to where he could use exterminate. So yeah, he was kind of useless in that entire fight. I did have the poison exterminate combo for one dragon, though it was rough trying to keep Tiz alive so that he could benefit from the post-fight experience and JP. Which, yeah, it's rough. It's rough trying to keep him alive for that. But yeah, the exterminate combo, it was fine. I mean, poison itself did 999 damage every turn. So that's like, you know, 1,000, just rounding up, 1,000 HP worth of damage every turn. And exterminate was doing like 25 to like 3,000 damage. So, yeah. The dragon that was weak to light, that one went so smoothly. Like, Ring a Bell, like, in the perfect scenario, after using, like, Adia or Ring a Bell's special, like, to just increase the party's attack, and then the fact that he had the fists equipped that are imbued with light, and then even getting a critical hit, like just when the stars align, he would do 9,999 damage. So yeah, that fight went quick. But yeah. Oh, and one more thing of note. So I noticed in the fight that when everybody had Utsusemi, and then the dragon would do the breath attack, no one would counter. But if there was only one person still standing, which was the case in one fight where Ring a Bell was the only one still alive, and the dragon did the breath attack, they would counter, or he would counter. So I'm guessing it's only considered a physical attack if... Well, no, because if one person was counter, that means it is coded in the game to be physical. So maybe there's just a thing in the system where if there's going to be multiple counterattacks, then nobody counterattacks? I don't know, I just found that weird. So yeah, when everybody had Utsusemi, no one countered the dragon's breath attack. But when Ring a Bell was the last one standing, whether it was only because he was the last one standing or he was the only one with Utsusemi, meaning there was only going to be one counterattack, he countered. But yeah, that's it for the dragons. Post-commentary will continue when we return to Vampire Castle. Alrighty.
Why, you have mastered my contrivance and defeated its guardian. Very...
That voice. Lord DeRosso?
This stone must be one of the keys to Vampire Castle. All right, 5 more to go. Did you hear that sound? I believe the gate is finally unlocked.
That was anticlimactic. He could have at least included a flash, a bang, or a puff of smoke.
Let's head in before Ringabel has a chance to flap his gums again. It's freezing in here. Even colder than it is outside.
Look at all those paintings.
Did we just stumble into an art gallery?
They all have a sort of forlorn look to them.
So here we are in Vampire Castle. Yeah, the enemies here are stronger than the random encounters around Eternia, which were already giving me trouble. So that's why, that's why I have encounters off for this point in time. But yeah, so I'm just gonna navigate through the castle normally, getting all the chests, filling out the map, and you get a little party chat if you examine all the paintings you come across. So I will be doing that as well. Whoop whoop.
What a large portrait. Is that Lord DeRosso?
His wife was sure an attractive one. Oh, and it says something under the painting. Lester, eldest son of the House of DeRosso, future clergyman of the Crystal Adventists and cardinal of the Crystal Orthodoxy. Born in the land of Eternia on a cold winter's day. So, that's his mother, not his beautiful young wife. And that little baby is Lord DeRosso.
Clergyman? Of the Crystal Adventists?
Is something the matter, Agnes?
The Crystal Adventists were the predecessors of the Crystal Orthodoxy. It is now known as the Old Faith. But it hasn't been practiced in over 2,400 years. How could he have been a member of the Adventist clergy? According to this portrait, Lord DeRosso is incredibly old, even ancient.
Yes, indeed. For I was born of these frozen lands in a time some 2,400 years from this day.
And this portrait?
I was but an infant, as you can see. This is a reproduction, however. The original was lost long ago to fire.
And what of the part that reads, Clergyman of the Crystal Adventists and Cardinal of the Crystal Orthodoxy?
Yes. As Wind Vestal, you would be expected to take interest in such matters. But here I delve into the matter of the old faith and the orthodoxy. Allow me to tell of the founding of this land. As you may well know, this land had long been ruled by the Crystal Orthodoxy. However, 15 years passed, the Templar rose up and occupied their lands. Thus was the Duchy of Eternia born. Or so I expect you have been taught. However, the Templar did not found a new state. In truth, he restored an ancient dynasty.
He did?
Long before the Crystal Orthodoxy ruled this land, it was known as the Kingdom of Eternia. In a time 2,400 years past, Eternia was a bountiful land blessed with 4 distinct seasons. The highlands were not as lofty as they are today. People and ideas flowed freely from other lands. The kings of Eternia were protectors of the Earth Crystal and the Crystal Adventists, ruling in peace for generations. To the west lay the castle of the House of DeRosso, hereditary dukes of Eternia with royal blood in their veins. Relations with the royal family were good, and ever did the kings of Eternia treat the dukes of our house with kindness. In return, the House of DeRosso did faithfully serve generations of Eternian kings.
A family portrait by Lord DeRosso. Little did he know of the approaching maelstrom. Such tragedy that we could not possibly fathom.
What magnificent vestments. This must be none other than Lord DeRosso.
'Tis a portrait of my ordainment as Cardinal of the Orthodoxy. I was as yet... No, let us move on to other matters. I was born of the House of DeRosso, hereditary dukes of Eternia. Blessed was my youth. My parents showered affection upon me, and I was beloved by the people. And the king bestowed favor upon me as well. Upon royal recommendation, I was made a cleric of the Crystal Adventists, the old faith, in my 19th year. I devoted my body and soul to my clerical duties, for king, for kingdom, for faith. Sleep became an oft-missed luxury. But before long, a new tide began sweeping through the Crystal Adventists. There were those who wanted the clergy to control the 4 crystals of Luxemdark, rather than local monarchies and temples. That belief formed the core of the Crystal Orthodoxy. The Eternian royal family, keepers of the Earth Crystal, immediately assented to this new way. I soon found myself appointed to the position of Cardinal in the Orthodoxy. Me, a mere cleric. Cardinal DeRosso. Those were my days of glory. Even now, the mere sound of the then-new title is dear to me. The old faith was remade entirely into the Crystal Orthodoxy, and the decision was made to elect a Grand Patriarch to rule. Thereupon, cardinals throughout the world gathered for a conclave to elect the first Grand Patriarch. Amid the conclave's maelstrom, I was approached by a cardinal who wished for me to vote for his choice. I suppose it was my youth and sincerity that made me reject the notion out of hand. But that was my downfall, for I was forced from the position of cardinal by the fraudulently elected Grand Patriarch. I had been but fervent in my beliefs and ideals. What I did only for the Orthodoxy and for the people of this world.
The old faith and the Orthodoxy. The Kingdom of Eternia and the Duchy. That was all a bit hard to follow.
I agree. There are no major differences in teachings between the Old Faith and Orthodoxy. They both revere the Four Crystals. I have heard that the Adventists gave way to the new and truer ideas of the Orthodoxy and faded away.
No wonder the Old Faith was abandoned.
Yet there is more to the story, for history is not more than accounts recorded by the victorious. To solidify their power, the victors showered contempt upon the vanquished. So it was those who held the reins of power within the Orthodoxy relentlessly pressed for the Adventists' eradication. No one recalls the words of the vanquished if the victorious write them out of history.
I'd been taught that the battle between the two faiths had been fierce, and in its wake, devastation persisting to this day covered all the lands.
That is an uncharacteristically accurate account for the Orthodoxy, save for their false reckoning of time. It was after the Orthodoxy had begun ruling the world that the endless conflict with the Adventists began. I should know, for I was there to bear witness firsthand.
Lord DeRosso, how could you possibly be that old?
This one shows a castle in flames.
A large army surrounds it. It looks as if it could fall at any moment. Is this not this very castle? See, this is the western corridor right here.
There's another castle burning in the distance. It's near where Eternian's central command is today.
So then, that's the Orthodoxy's head temple in flames?
Nay, the distant castle in flames belonged to the King of Eternia, and the castle in the fore, 'tis the abode of my family, the House of DeRosso.
But why? Why would such a terrible thing?
The kingdom of Eternia was suddenly beset by a great host from another land. We would later come to know that it was a four-state coalition sent by order of the Crystal Orthodoxy. They had been told the King of Eternia sought a return to Adventism and was arming for war against the Orthodoxy. The Grand Patriarchy used this fiction to order a great muster of forces from across the lands. Alas, I failed to heed the many warning signs. I rejected the scheming Cardinal's choice for Grand Patriarch. But he succeeded in luring votes from other factions, and his became the ruling faction of the Grand Patriarchy. It was they who wished to establish Crystal Orthodoxy as the uncontested world religion. Under their orders, the castle of the Eternian King was besieged. It fell in mere weeks. Before long, the great host was at the gates of our castle, and my father lay brutally murdered. The water supply was poisoned, and the Orthodoxy's forces drew an ironclad ring around the castle. By then, the castle sheltered naught but the elderly, the young, the wounded. There was no hope of resistance. I was forced to sue for peace, even offering my own mother as hostage per their demands. Yet that failed to break the siege. The commoners who had placed their faith in my family and me slowly starved to death. It was then that a letter arrived from a man. That man was the Cardinal, who had sought to influence my vote. The Fiend was now the officer in charge of the attack. He wrote that he would not accept my surrender. Such was the hatred he bore for me. Such hatred that he was willing to let countless innocents die. My mother had been murdered. Our castle was consumed in flames. That is the painting you see here.
How could the Orthodoxy do such a thing?
Look!
Such fierce flames.
Though I wish not to remember that day, it is indelibly etched upon my mind.
How did you survive?
The Orthodoxy lay siege yet would accept no surrender. My mother, father, relatives, and my people lay dead. It was then I set our castle ablaze. But as the flames began to lick my body, something slipped into me. Betrayed by the precepts I believed in, was I not bitter? Robbed of my beloved homeland, my dearest of kin, my people slain. Amid such despair, was I content to simply welcome death? Nay, I heard a voice. Accept me, and I shall grant life everlasting. Though it shall be filled with grief, thou shalt have all eternity to wreak vengeance upon thine enemies. Did I forge a dark pact with some fiendish entity that day? Or was it a rebirth, triggered by a future me, reaching back to the past? Panicked upon failing to find my body, the Orthodoxy chose to denounce my family and me as ghoulish vampires. Thus have I been living an immortal existence ever since.
Then the name Vampire Castle is...
A lie. that has been perpetrated by the Orthodoxy for some 2,400 years. Though it is true I am immortal, I am no vampire. I find the smell of blood too revolting to ever drink it. Having said that, I have done naught to quell the rumors. In truth, I endeavored to embellish them. My ability to transform myself into a bat and grow these fangs are the fruits of many years. Long, long years of effort. Tell me, O Vestal of the Wind, what does the Crystal Orthodoxy have to say about the passing of the first Grand Patriarch?
He chose the second Grand Patriarch and prayed for peace and the well-being of the faithful as he passed peacefully from this world.
Passed peacefully from this world, you say? I know the truth to be far different.
What do you mean?
The first Grand Patriarch was assassinated, along with his Archbishop, the man who had been my bane. The assassin himself tells you this. There is no other truth. That was when I forsook this land. Soon after, sightings of the vampire Lord DeRosso began to crop up throughout the world. I became a veritable Duke of Darkness, forging ties with those bearing hatred toward the Orthodoxy and those it had oppressed. I was the enemy of man, the hated and feared vampire. But more than that, I was known as the arch-enemy of the Orthodoxy. And after some 500 years, a fateful encounter with one whom you all know well. No. Let us leave the matter for another time.
Battlefield landscape?
It represents the long and hard-fought war between the Orthodoxy and we denizens of darkness. For 500 years, my thirst for vengeance remained unsated. It had also been 500 years since the Orthodoxy had been founded. The world was in the midst of an age of seafaring and piracy. Compared to the great exchange of ideas and information, the once hallowed Orthodoxy began to lose its luster. The authority of the Grand Patriarch and the Orthodoxy itself began to wane. Fearing irrelevancy, the Grand Patriarchy acted rashly to regain its authority. This led to the unusual decision to select a commoner, the gifted young Yuliana, for an important task.
Yuliana? Sage Yuliana?
Yes, indeed. At age 20, the young Yuliana became High Inquisitor of the Crystal Orthodoxy.
It's hard to believe he ever was young.
It was no laughing matter, for there was no one more skilled at rooting out enemies of the faith than he. The shadowy ones, those who had been working against the Orthodoxy, were crushed by the host he led. In the several decades that saw him age, I cannot count the number of times we have crossed swords, he and I. In the great battle waged on the Karka Plain, the might of our clashing forces rent the very earth into a vast rift.
You mean the rift under Ison Bridge?
In the battle at the foot of Mount Fragmentum, our armies smoked the mountain to its very roots.
So that's how that ravine was created.
And in the battle fought on the Harina Plain, the once fertile earth was reduced to desolation. The loss of that fertile plain is believed to have ushered in the downfall of the Harina dynasty.
To think any sort of battle could change the face of the earth so.
We fought our final battle 1800 years ago on the Norende Heights in the land of Kaldisla.
The Norende Heights? That's where the Great Chasm opened up!
In the end, Yuliana, High Inquisitor of the Crystal Orthodoxy, utterly defeated me. Lord DeRosso, leader of the Shadows.
You were defeated? But you're here with us today.
Yes, well, there was more to that final battle than meets the eye. You see, I ceded the glory of victory to young Yuliana that day. I say young in my reckoning, for he was already 100 then. Yuliana returned triumphantly to Eternia with what he claimed to be my remains. What he brought them was not human. And when the Templar attacked the head temple 15 years past, it is said they found my tomb deep underground. Ever dreading the darkness and my return, the Orthodoxy kept those duplicitous remains under arcane seal for over 1,000 years. 'Tis a tale replete with irony, is it not?
That is Sage Juliana.
Yes, indeed. No one would mistake such a man for young now. Having put down the blood-sucking Lord DeRosso, bane of the Crystal Orthodoxy, he became the first ever commoner to become an archbishop. Perhaps it was a small honor they threw his way, for he was already 101 years old and would not long count among the living.
That makes it sound despicable.
Agreed. The truth is, however, that was when Yuliana's plot was at its most clever.
The Sage's plot? What was he plotting?
He was taking measures to separate you Vestals and the faithful among the people from the Orthodoxy's corruption. After serving some 80 years, he had witnessed firsthand how corrupt the institution had become. Should nothing be done, it would not be long before the putrid poison would do harm to the most innocent of the faith. So it was he vowed to rid the Orthodoxy of the source of this poison, the concentration of power.
But how?
For the great feat of defeating me, Yuliana had been made archbishop, but in name only. But such was not key to his plot. Timing was the key. The proper time to separate the Vestals and the faithful from the Orthodoxy.
And just what timing would that be?
The great upthrust of the Eternian Highlands. At the time, the Highlands were not so formidable as they are today. But a colossal movement of earth and rock thrust the Highlands to lofty heights, thereby isolating Eternia from the world.
Hold on a moment. He was waiting for the Earth to move? How could he have known when such an event would take place?
I shall tell you in time. For now, I will say this. Juliana bided his time till the Orthodoxy was cut off from the world. And at last, it happened. The Highlands ringing Eternia did thrust up to about half its height today. The Orthodoxy-ruled Eternia now found itself completely isolated, for this was an age preceding the airship. And while the Earth Crystal remained in their keep, control of the crystals of fire, water, and wind was returned to their respective temples. This, what you believe to be the true form of Crystalism, is the fruit of Juliana's efforts.
That was the sage's doing? I won't ever call him a miserable old lech again.
Sage.
What is that glowing jewel-like object? I could swear I've seen something like that before.
I believe you have seen a similar sight countless times. It is known as an asterisk.
An asterisk? As in those objects we possess?
Yes, indeed. The second stage in Juliana's plot against the Orthodoxy's authority was to deprive them of the power to grant vocations.
Grant vocations? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Before Juliana intervened, special approval was required to change vocations within the Crystal Orthodoxy. In this way, the institution grew rich through fat profits they called alms.
Oh, so the Orthodoxy cornered the job market and the fees to participate therein?
In layman's terms, yes. But Juliana exposed this fact before the reigning Grand Patriarch. It was then that Juliana approached panicked high officials and the Grand Patriarch himself with a proposal of pure genius. He showed them a stone known as an asterisk, saying the granting of vocation should be based on it, overseen by the Orthodoxy. Those who sought such vocations would apply to the Orthodoxy and pay a fair price. Anyone with the means to pay could thus learn a new job.
That's no different from the old system where people had to pay alms.
No different indeed. But the Grand Patriarch and his officials had not but the material profits of the Orthodoxy in mind. Hence, they accepted Juliana's proposal without question, even appointing him to the important position of overseeing the new asterisk system.
I fail to see how that really changed anything.
Well, it did far more than you would guess, for he was the only one who knew how to make the asterisk stones.
Why, that wily old fox?
So it was Juliana robbed the Orthodoxy of its authority to grant jobs and took it for himself.
What of the Orthodoxy's profits? Wouldn't they demand Juliana transfer the proceeds to their coffers?
Juliana was long gone. Abandoning the seat of Archbishop, he fled with his knowledge of the asterisk craft. He also took arms and armor the Orthodoxy had seized from around the world, items of such power that their use was forbidden. He took them all and sealed them away in a hidden location. They now lie secreted away against the day the Orthodoxy's tyranny or some other impending doom threatens the people. He then hid himself in Juliana Woods until those who knew him reached the end of their natural lives. But that did not take long, for I led the forces of the shadows to ensure their swift demise. I had always believed the Crystal Orthodoxy required not but the crystals, the Vestals, and the faithful. With the institution free of corruption, I return to my homeland of Eternia after a 700-year absence. Where my family's castle once stood, I built a fortress of ice from whence I have been watching over the Orthodoxy's head temple. Meanwhile, Yuliana retired to that land to tend to the Vestals, but you know of that better than I.
Say Juliana.
I commend you for making it this far.
Oh, no more paintings?
The final painting lies beyond this throne. I shall reveal it to you if you defeat me in battle.
What?
The last test is a test of strength. I shall only reveal the painting to those whom I deem worthy. One might also say that there is no need for those who are unworthy to lay their eyes upon it. But be forewarned, I am a formidable foe. I trust you are well prepared.
And now we have the Lord DeRosso fight, and just to put this in perspective, he has the same physical attack as all of the dragons that we fought up till now. More magic attack, the same amount of defense, and more magic defense. So, yeah, he ain't playing around. He is not playing around. He is very tough. He is affected by sleep and dread. That's surprising. Immune to silence and poison. He will steal your BP with Battle Thirst. He uses Graviga to reduce your HP, which, you know, it is what it is. Gravity never kills, but he does lower you, like, to the point where, yeah, physical attacks will just one-shot you. Uses Bone Crush, so always keep your HP high. Energy Burst. Energy Burst just like Childmar. Okay, you gotta watch out for that as well. But yeah, just exploit his light weakness and you're all good there. You can also use the Utsusemi trick with him as well, because all of his attacks are considered physical except for Graviga, and that does not kill. Oh, and if you have a thief, you can steal Mega Elixirs off of him. Shit, that's giving me a thought, because, Mega Elixirs, they do be rare, though. No need to have too good to use syndrome if you have too many to use. Hey, yeah. But, yeah, you get the Vampire Asterisk from him. I guess I can have the notes right here as opposed to when I normally do them when we're just looking at the asterisk information. I don't think I have the actual, like, weapon stats. Oh, no, I do. Okay, so, B in HP, MP, Strength, Intelligence, and Agility. For weapons, an S in rods, staves, and daggers, an A in shields. Command ability is vampirism, and genome ability. And the genome ability is part of the reason why some would actually recommend going out of your way to attempt this now. Because Vampire is essentially a blue mage, if you're familiar with Final Fantasy. That's a type of mage where their magic attacks are learned from enemies that you've defeated. It's an interesting concept of a mage. It's pretty cool. Like, Quina in Final Fantasy IX, Kimari in Final Fantasy X. No, those would be considered blue mages. yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, because you get some genome abilities in this chapter, you can get them in later chapters, like some of the same abilities here, but they're really far off because you won't be able to access some of the areas where you can get some of the genome abilities. So yeah, if you're going to be serious about using Vampire, it might benefit you to go out of your way to get it now and get some of those early genome abilities. Yeah, just checking a few more things here. Monster abilities can be obtained through vampirism, is referred to as genomes, and are obtained when the vampire is targeted by the attack. So, yeah, an easy way to just learn all the genomes is to switch everybody to vampire and just default until like the attacks happen and you learn them. Once a genome is obtained, any other vampire can use the ability. Great. And should be noted that the 4 Ya spells, Fire Ya, Blizzard Ya, Thunder Ya, and Arrow Ya, are not recorded in these journal section on abilities, even though they are genome abilities that vampires can learn. Okay. These 4 powerful spells can only be obtained from certain nemesis. Oh, and I am not finding those nemesis because I am not ready for that smoke just yet. Anyway, the vampire specialty is Genome Drain. Its job command is Vampirism. Job level 1, you have Genome ability, where you just use a monster's ability that you learned. Job level 2, absorb physical damage. Restore HP equal to 30% of the damage taken from physical attacks. However, damage resulting in KO will not be healed. Job level 3, Bloodthirst. Absorb from one target an amount of HP equal to the damage dealt by a conventional attack. Yeah. Job level 4, Bloodlust. Physical attack, physical defense, and magic defense rise by 25% for 5 turns each time you defeat an enemy with your own attack. That's great for random encounters, not so much for boss fights. Job level 5, Charm. Has a 75% chance to place one target in the charm state. Not bad. Job level 6, Magic Thirst. Absorb from one target an amount of MP equal to 10% of the damage dealt by a conventional attack. Job level 7, Monster Ability Up. Raise the damage dealt by genome abilities to 1.25 times normal. Job level 8, Battle Thirst. Absorb 1 DP from one target. Good to have. And it only costs MP to use. It's great. It's wonderful. Job level 9, Subvert. Has a 50% chance to place all enemies in the charm state. Job level 10, Self-Restore. Fully restore your HP at the end of battle. Which, yeah, that's not the worst thing in the world, I guess. Yeah. Job level 11, Absorb Stats. Absorb the selected stat from one target. Job level 12, Drain Attack Up. Raise the damage dealt by drain attacks to 1.5 times normal. The BP drained by Battle Thirst will be doubled. Job level 13, Genome Drain. A character with this ability can learn certain enemy abilities when targeted by them. So, yeah, that means you won't need to be a vampire with that one. Which, cool, because, yeah. I mean, there's better jobs than vampire if you want, like, to excel in certain stats and have, you know, certain weapons at your disposal. Just saying. And job level 14, Rise from Dead. If KO'd, there's a chance of reviving at the end of the turn. So, yeah. Wait a minute. Okay, I think reading that and, like, not to mention that happening, or this happening in the same chapter that you fight Brave, had me up here thinking, like, wait a minute, he's going to revive himself and then you have to fight, like, 150,000 HP DeRosso again. But no, he doesn't recover like how Brave did, so you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, I'm just looking at the HP totals. It's like Victoria and Victor combined has the same amount of HP as DeRosso by himself. They ain't playing with you with this one. They ain't playing with you. But yeah, that about covers all of this. I probably will go out of my way to get some genome abilities on my own time, so you don't have to see me grind that out. But yeah, the genome abilities that you can obtain in this chapter alone: Curse from Magicians, Spray from Deathfish, Venom from Red Flan, Wing Scale from Great Moth, Dual Attack from Catamount, Chomp from Valtora, Paralyzing Pollen from Alarune, however you want to pronounce that, Fireball from Dagon, Earthquake from Soil Eaters, Sandstorm from Sandworms, White Wind from Arrow Lanterns, Lullaby from Treants, and Hellfire from Cerberus. And to learn White Wind, you need to charm an Arrow Lantern when it is low on health, for it to cast White Wind on the party. To learn Wing Scale, equip a Peace Ring so you don't become confused and absorb the ability. Alright, some tips there for you. And one final thing to note about the vampire class. This was one of the things that was censored for the game. Like, outside of localization changes to characters' ages, which is common. Like, that was a thing, like, even in, like, the 80s and 90s. Like, the Final Fantasy VII cast were pretty much teens. Well, Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith were, like, just removed, or at the upper tier of, like, teenhood. But then their ages were boosted for the American release. But, yeah, like, outside of the ages, the vampire outfits were heavily altered for this American release. Specifically, the women's vampire outfits. And I should have a comparison up on the screen here. Wait, no, there were other costumes that were altered. Like, well, the Bravo bikini was, but that one is kind of negligible. Like, there, you would have to really look to see the difference there. Like, okay, because I mean, you know, the freaking tiny screen of the 3DS. Come on now. But yeah, there is a later costume for Ring a Bell that was flat out removed, I think, actually. But you know, it's at least these are only costumes and not major, like, bits of the game removed or altered. But yeah, the vampire outfit for the women were altered to reveal far less skin, which had a lot of people up in arms. I mean, on one hand, I do agree that it wasn't necessary because, come on, it's a T-rated game. It's like when Nintendo made changes for some costumes in Fatal Frame 5. That was an M-rated game. You know, like, if this was an E-rated game or E10, fine. But it's rated T for teens. Come on. It ain't that deep. On the other hand, though, yeah, these characters do have chibi models, or chibi-ish models, because of the like, style of the series and the 3DS limitations, admittedly. So yeah, even though they changed their ages to say, like, oh, they are of age and this is a T-rated game, yeah, having chibi-ish looking characters showing all that skin off, yeah, all it would take is, like, the one wrong parent or politician to look at that and then just have a vendetta against the game and whatnot. But that aside, I actually kind of think the American vampire costumes look better. It just looks cooler. I'm very Kingdom Hearts pilled, so, like, belts and zippers, I look at those, it's like, yeah, that's aesthetic right there. But yeah, I genuinely do think the American costumes look better, but people were still up in arms about it. It's like, It's no big deal. I mean, yeah, stuff like that does suck, especially for T and M rated games. But you could just chalk that up to localization, as opposed to what happened when Detention was their first game. Devotion by Red Candle Games was bullied off of the storefront of Steam and was not really allowed to be anywhere else due to pressure that other storefronts were getting from China to not include the game on said storefronts. That was actual censorship. But, you know, people just want to see their anime tits, I guess. So, hey, there were none in Devotion, so there was no one or nothing there for people to rally behind. No, there were people still like upset about what happened to Devotion, and fair play to them. They ended up hosting the game themselves on their own site, but it's still a shame that like that's what it had to come down to. Freaking GOG and Itch just like, actually we're not going to host the game here anymore. Sorry, China asked us nicely not to, but you know, that's another rant for another time. But yeah, that about covers all this right here. Enjoy the rest of the fight and the cutscenes and dialogue and all that jazz. And next time we're going to get back to the main game proper. And it won't take me, I was going to say months. Has it actually just flat out been a year since I last did some of this? I don't even remember. I don't have any Bravely Default on this hard drive, so oh my god, it might actually have been. Oh my god, I was up to part 39? What the frick? Yep, it's been over a year. Okay, well, sorry about that. But yeah, we're back, and I will be, uploading more regularly. All things considered, because I forgot about how I'm going to have to edit certain moments when we get to them. Yeah. Foreshadowing. Ooh, if you know, you know. But yeah, that's it from me for the post commentary. I've gone on long enough. Enjoy the rest of this here fight and the rest of this here video, and I will see you next time when we deal with the aftermath of taking down Brave the Templar. Goodbye.
Lord DeRosso has been defeated. I am a man of my word. Behold, the final painting.
This painting.
It is the angel descended from the heavens during my final battle against Juliana.
An angel?
When we last did battle 1800 years ago, the battle raged 100 days. The mountains of Norende rent asunder. Knowing the battle was reaching its end, I mustered the last of my strength to cast my greatest of spells. As my final attack surged forth, the angel did descend from the skies over Norende.
Are you sure it was an angel?
Verily so, for there are no other words to describe her. For a moment, Juliana and I stood captivated. Before we realized it, our struggle was forgotten. We both tended to the angel. But the angel lost her light. Her wings were shattered and her body torn asunder. There seemed little hope she would live. When she came to her senses, she trembled with fear. Yet with little remaining strength in her body, she made unto us an appeal.
What appeal? What did the angel say to you?
Here, she passed from this world. She slipped in and out of consciousness over many a day. In between ever-growing periods of unconsciousness, it was all she could do to mutter incoherently. A trap most vile, such a fool am I, the warriors of light, if it's not too late. These she would repeat over and over. When she did come to her senses, she would speak of the calamity that had befallen her. She spoke of how Luxembourg was on the brink of doom, and spoke with precision of the events that has heralded its coming. She herself was surprised to find that she knew of details of our past, and events of the future as well. The struggle between the old faith and orthodoxy, the tragedy that would befall my family, my immortality, even events of the distant future.
The distant future?
Yes, for the angel spoke of events that have not come to pass even now. Events that await you in your future. She told of a bringer of evil who would appear in the guise of one friendly to the Vestals and seduce them into unleashing chaos in the name of awakening the crystals. This evil one would destroy Luxembourg by piercing the boundary that protects this world. And the opening of a great rift that sunders the earth shall herald its coming.
The Great Chasm.
The angel told of many other omens ere the great chasm would open. The light of earth shall raise up the north, and a deathly plague shall cover all the lands. Then shall a great rift rend the earth. She then entrusted me with a certain task, one that only an immortal such as I could fulfill.
What sort of task could only an immortal fulfill?
That I cannot say, for she swore me to secrecy. But thereupon she quietly passed from this world. For 3 days and 3 nights, my former mortal enemy Juliana and I spoke of what had transpired. Ultimately, we vowed to join forces to prepare for the coming doom of which the angel had foretold.
started with this fateful meeting.
Lord DeRosso, there is one last matter I fail to understand.
Why Juliana and I forgave the rebel Templar, even rendering him aid?
Yes.
Juliana and I conspired in a masquerade. He rose through the Orthodoxy's ranks for vanquishing me, and I went into hiding. That was when the first of the Angel's Omens came to be. The land's ringing Eternia began to rise. While the second omen, the plague, had not yet come to pass, we continued to watch over the crystals and the Orthodoxy. So did 1,700 years pass in relative peace, save for a handful of suspicious crises surrounding the crystals. It was not till 30 years ago that the omens returned as if out of legend. First, the land's ringing Eternia began to rise once more. 10 years later, the Great Plague struck, whereupon I knew the Great Chasm was coming. It was then that we began our preparations to strike. It was evident from this series of events that the crystals were involved in some manner. Before the appearance of the Great Chasm, we would assault the temples and seize the crystals. We readied our forces for this plan. I entrusted the task to the Templar, a former cleric of the Orthodoxy. He was also to lead the newly mustered host.
Oh, Father.
While far from infallible, that was the best response I could manage for the coming of the Great Chasm. But I was soon faced with another problem, for the Orthodoxy began conspiring to hold the Grand Ritual in a bid to regain authority.
The Grand Ritual? But that is forbidden! It raises the energy long accumulated within a crystal to a cataclysmic level!
Indeed, and the Templar feared the heavy toll it would exact upon the crystal. He counseled us to dispatch our forces to the head temple with the greatest of haste. Were we to overlook the Grand Ritual and focus upon the coming Great Chasm? Or was the ritual the event that would bring upon the chasm? To wait or attack? The Templar and I could not agree. And so it was, he alone decided to lead a great host against the head temple and the Temple of the Crystal.
That is why my father did what he did?
As I have said before, the Templar is not the sort to send troops into battle over private matters, be they concerned with his wife or not. We threw our backing behind the Templar-led forces. Forever did we believe in his tireless resolve and action. And though the one we backed is the one you have defeated, that is perhaps but a small link in the great chain of events of which the Angel foretold.